My name is Nicholas Teresi, Nicholas Teresi. I will be conducting the interview with Pastor Wang Chao Lee, Pastor, first name Wang, Wang, middle name Chao, Chao, last name Lee, Lee, for a UWM field study of the house owners near the Washington Park area. I will begin this interview by asking first, did you receive your consent form?
Yes, I do.
Do you have any questions?
No.
And do you agree with the consent form and interview?
Yes.
So first I would like to ask you, what is your date of birth?
October 8th, 1965.
Okay. And where were you born?
In Laos.
Laos. What part of Laos exactly?
Northern part, the province called Xinhuang, Laos.
Okay. And so you did migrate here. When was that? What year?
I came to the United States back in 1979.
Okay. And how old were you? You were about in your...
I was 14.
14?
Yes.
Okay. And how, so did you migrate alone or did you migrate with parents?
I came with my parents.
Your parents?
Yes.
And how was that? Can you describe that process and from migrating from Laos all the way to here?
The bottom line is we are part of the political asylum where we are affected of the war, Vietnam War, when the U.S. or American soldier pull out of Vietnam War. We are the victims, and our parents are former fighters for the CIA. Secret war, if you were to, not so secret these days, but it's called secret war. And then we are the persecuted victim that we have to, my parents and others has to flee the country for their life.
Did the U.S. help you with the to migrate?
Yes, and that's a result of the agreements where if the American lost the war, the Hmong are contract specifically for this secret project, and there's agreement among the upper leaders that if the American were to lose the war, the Hmong who were secretly recruited into this service will be under the care for their lives. So that's how we have to come over here for the process.
Did you migrate with any other siblings, or was it just you?
Yeah, my parents and all the children. I'm the oldest.
You're the oldest?
Yeah, and when we came, there are 5 others siblings younger than I am.
Okay, so there were 6 children in total?
Yes.
So I guess you had a lot of responsibility to watch over them.
Yes. And culturally, as the oldest sibling, you are the second parents to the rest.
Right. Yeah, similarly, I'm the oldest too, so I know how that feels.
Yes.
And you were all born over. Were there any children that were born here from your
Yes.
parents?
Total, there were 10 of us. There are 3 more that who were born over here. My parents had them over here.
Okay. And did you feel any difference between you being born over there and having to migrate and them being born here, or was there the same cultural upbringing?
There are some differences, yes.
Can you describe those differences?
We are born in a more of a primitive country, from day to day, morning work, evening, come home from the farm, going to the farm, come back to the farm, more daily routine. Except some area where there are school in the village, the children get to go to school, but some other remote areas, the kids go to the farm with their parents. And the younger one who cannot physically labor in the field will take care of the little ones, while the older siblings and parents work on the field.
Were you able to attend school while you're living over there?
Yes, and I was fortunate to be in a village where there's school, and I was in 3rd grade, 4th grade before I came to the refugee camp. My parents took us to the refugee camp. But in regard to the siblings who were born over here, they're much different. They took the technology for granted. They took the opportunity for granted, and there's a difference.
Right. So when you migrated over here, where did you migrate to? Which state, city?
I came to Montana, Missoula, Montana, in December 13, 1979. Those days will be in my mind forever. That's my second birthday. Freedom.
Yeah. And so you were in fourth grade when you came to the U.S.
Oh, I left my village when I was fourth grade.
Okay.
Well, there's a test. So right in the middle of a test, for if you can't pass the test, you can't go to the next grade. So at the completion of third grade and awaiting the exam to enter fourth grade, we had to flee. So fleeing the country in the middle of third grade and fourth grade, I took fourth, fifth, and sixth grade in the refugee camp. And we were in the refugee camp for 4.5 years. So during those refugee lives, we took continue. There's also a school in the refugee camp, so I continued the rest of the grade school in the refugee camp.
Okay.
And if we can only go to sixth grade in the camp, and after sixth grade, you have to go to an official school outside of the camp, which is not for us. So, knowing that we are coming to America, preparing to come to America, my dad hired someone to tutor me some English.
Okay. So education was really important to your parents, right?
It is very important.
And can you describe the living conditions of the refugee camp?
Living condition depends on some camps. Some camp is more severe and some is moderate. But the one I live in is for 4.5 years is kind of moderate at the time. There's a barbed wire around the camp, so you can't go outside, or non-outside can come in. However, there are some sneak in and out, some others outside sneak in, but that's the rule where you are quarantined in the camp, awaiting the transition for third country. So those 4.5 years in the camp, we totally depend on U.S. aid, food service, and other non-profit organizations such as World Vision and other other UN organizations that will help refugees. And every 3 days they distribute food, and one time every 3 days. And your food ration depends on the family members. More family members, you get bigger portion of meat or vegetable or rice, and smaller like couples or a single person family. Sometimes it's not you don't even know how to cook it, just a tiny piece of meat and cups of rice, and maybe the most enough for one meal, one cook, and the rest of the 2 days, it's up to you to find food.
So the portions really only lasted 1 day of the 3 days?
1 day or one meal.
Oh, okay. So how'd you find food for the other 2 days, or did you eat at all?
My parents, there are some other personal fundraise that you can do in the camp. And if you are fortunate to have relatives over here that came earlier, can contribute to help you your food when you are in the camp.
And did you have relatives?
No, not really. So my parents have to struggle finding food to fill in the days.
How did they do that? Do you know?
I don't know much, but my parents my father's is a good blacksmith, So he would make knives or other farming equipments, buy metal bar from the market, and then turn it into a knives or some shovels or a hoe for gardening in the camp, and people will buy it for their own use.
Okay, and he would use that money.
Right, and then earn extra money to buy extra food to fill in those 2 days before the next food distribution again.
Okay. And were you all living in one tent, or was it a large tent with several families in it? And how did the actual sleeping arrangements and everything work?
The refugee camp was in different stage. First stage is when we first moved in. It's all forest, or we have to take turn clear the forest, the trees, and pitch tent, big military tent. And then as time goes, more permanent stealth house were built to accommodate the incoming refugees. More and more refugees are flooding into the camp, so more permanent buildings are built. Long building with 10 rooms, more like a military camp style, and with 10 rooms, and each family will be in a room. And smaller family will be squeezed 2, 3, even 3 families into one room. The size of I think the size is about 10 by 20, 10 by 15 feet. Barely enough for a bed.
Right.
Nothing else. No living room, no kitchen. That's basically for sleeping.
Okay. And was there a shared restroom, or was there a restroom in each room?
No, we wish. The bathroom will be in a separate bathroom unit, way away from the sleeping quarters, due to the fact that there's no running water, so the bathroom has to be further away from the cooking and living quarters.
Okay.
And many people share one bathroom stall. There'll be a building with rows of bathrooms, such as 10 bathrooms, and each bathroom is by itself. And the family depends on how big or how small family. For me and my building, there are 5 of us, 5 families share one bathroom. So the key, you have to know what the key is, and then each time you go to the bathroom, you have to find the key and bring your own water. You understand the toilet, then you have to bring your own water, right?
Right. So, did with the close living environment with several families, did you have to live with other families in a room, or was your family so large that you had your own room?
My family is about mid-size, so we share room with 3 single brothers. They are adult, but they are brothers, so they share room with us.
Was there any conflicts with food rationing or with the restrooms with those 3 brothers?
No, they have their own portion of rations, so they will cook their own meal. We share kitchen, we share the sleeping rooms, but each cook their own meals. And sometimes we could join by celebrating, put the food together and cook and eat together.
Okay. And so, when you finally, after living in refugee camp, you finally moved and migrated to the U.S., and it was Missouri, correct?
Montana.
Montana?
Yeah. Missoula, Montana.
Oh, okay. And did you begin school right away over there?
I came in Christmas break.
Okay.
And December 13 is very close to Christmas break, so I began school after Christmas break in January 2nd week or something, in second semester as a freshman
in high school?
High school.
And how was that transition? How did you feel comfortable I mean, were you there with other immigrants from Laos, or were you the only one? And did you feel comfortable there?
There are other immigrants that came before, and there are relatively those who came about the same time that I came, weeks or months together, not too far apart. So we quickly have a bond where we have similarity, and we bond and we be friends, and that's how we survive too.
Right. So you guys usually just stuck together. Did you have any friends that were maybe outside of that relation, of that similarity of being immigrants from Laos?
It's sometimes we would have some not close friend, but someone that understands us, some Caucasian or resident that would understand us and try to build friends and try to help the so-called refugee, newly immigrants, and we really appreciate those who understand that kind of life and step into be friends and at least offer helps in homeworks or be friends, just be with us and hang around with us in high school, and that's really really bring us up and help us to connect to the other people besides our own refugee immigrants. And that besides there are other abuse, bullies, things, but we overcome. So.
So there were bullies. There was
there
sort of discrimination.
Part of the survival is not food and school. It's survive your bully peers. They will kick us. They will spit on us, and they'll push us to the back of the bus, and there are all kinds of things.
And this happened throughout your years in high school?
Not throughout, but as time goes, you know how to defend yourself, and you know how to avoid being confrontations, and then that helps too. But at first, we would say freedom, a country, freedom people. We thought they were free heart and kind heart too, but not everyone has the same heart. So in high school, we know high school kids are really challenging. So we've been through a lot. And
did you ever have? Did you just have to endure physical or verbal discrimination, or also physical?
Not personally with me, because like I said, you have to know how to avoid being in direct confrontation. Otherwise, there are other friends who get involved in physical and verbal. But for me, I took the philosophy of to avoid it, and being silent is the winner. So I do not fight back, and I just avoid it. And if someone walked toward me with the intention of being bully or want to do something, I'll just walk away.
Okay, so generally, you just turn the other cheek.
Turn the other cheek and just walk away. And they spit on me off my face, just wipe off, and I know who spit it on me, so I just go away. Stay away from the person.
How did that make you feel when those people spit in your face? Did it anger you, or were you were there times where you went home and you were sad and maybe cried, or?
There are times we have to share with our friends who did what, and we release our frustration, our anger. But there are times when we have to take this into learning process. And for me, first I must understand that because I'm different, because I'm new, it's more like a new animal walking into someone else's territory. You'll be barked at and you'll be chased. But you just have to understand that because you're different, and they should not do it to you, but because you're different, then you accept it and you avoid all costs possible to minimize this. And that's how I take it.
So there was a form of survival in living in Laos with the war, and then there was a different form of survival living here in the U.S. and adjusting to the American way of life.
Yes, there's a big difference. it allows you, without the parents, you have a mind knowing that they are at the farm, and in the evening they'll come back. But as a refugee, your parents have struggled themselves with how to feed their children, and also how they themselves will survive. They have to go to classes, and they have to worry about jobs, and at the same time they worry if their kids will pick up the new lifestyle in this country, and they themselves will be abused or mistreated as well.
It's okay.
Okay.
So I had a question. Did any of the faculty or teachers, did they treat you in that same manner, or were they more understanding?
A very great help from the teacher, because they experienced many kids who are abused in different levels, and they would understand. Sometimes directly in front of the teacher, and they understand. But there are some teachers who care less. They saw other kids are bullying the refugee, the immigrant, and yet they do not intervene. And we don't know why, but there are times that happens. And that's how some of my friends took the matter in their hands, by physically or verbally fight back. Right in class.
Right in class. And when your friends did that, were there any stronger repercussions towards them in comparison to the other student? Like, were they punished more severely than the other student, or do you feel like they're punished equally?
Well, there were, in such case, the higher office has to be notified, and the issue has to be clear in the administrative office.
Okay. So, and did you graduate from that same high school?
No, my parents moved to a different state, and then to California.
To California? Yeah. Which city in California?
Santa Ana, California.
Okay. And you finished your high school
Yes.
years there? Mm-hmm. What year were you in high school?
I graduated from high school in 1983.
Okay. But what year did you were a freshman when you went to the
Right.
Montana high school?
Montana in 79, in 80. I began school in 80 and finished 3 years later. My parents moved to California in 1982 and finished my senior year in Santa Ana, California.
Yeah. And how was that transition? Did you feel just as discriminated there as you did in Montana, or was it more welcoming?
Socially, I guess I was not too much worried about being mistreated or being abused or bullied. I was focused more on education. And my parents were pastors, so I was focused on ministry with my parents in the church. So we were focused more on helping the members, the people of the church, as well as helping ourselves in school. And we would, I guess I learned the skills of avoiding confrontation in a bully, and I would sense that the situation is not good, so I left or go other way before it heats up. So I don't have much of those as time goes, but I would have more stress on focus on graduating from high school. And moving to California is a big challenge because California has this proficiency exams that you have to pass in order to graduate from high school. In other, maybe not here or in Montana, when you have enough grade built up on your each year of your school, then by your senior year you just graduate. But in California, you may have good grades and all those during the years, but at the end, during your final senior year, you have to pass your proficiency test, which includes reading, math, and writing composition. So with 2.5, 3 years of high school with little minimum English, that would be a challenge. You have to write, include writings and readings. Math is not a problem because we can learn math in any language. And in fact, math is not just basic standard, but writing and reading is a challenge because we are refugee, and I only have 3.5 years of high school. And during my first and second high school years, I took most of the class were in ESL. So it's very challenging, but I take that into high priority and find helps with friends who helps me write and practice my reading.
That's good.
And I have a good friend that we make a commitment to speak English only. It's for the purpose of practice English as much as possible during our first and second years as new immigrants. So we have a good friend with ESL teacher, and she really helped us too by not just teaching the basic ESL, but help us with ideas on how to pick up and learn extra English besides the ESL class. So there would be time when we practice our English speaking conversation with the teacher for a certain time, and then come home we would practice the English. So that really helped prepare me for college.
And did you pass the first time you took it?
Yes, I'm glad. I don't.
And I wanted to ask you too, why did your parents decide to move to California?
My parents were pastors, and one of the reasons we came to Montana is because there are a group of refugees sponsored by a church, and because my parents were pastors, the church want to sponsor a pastor immigrant who can help these newly immigrant that just arrived too. So that's how we went to Montana, because there's a Hmong group there. And when 2-3 years later, when we have to move to California because there's a church there that needs a pastor too, and bigger church. And when the refugee first came, they will be together, but as they settle, they will find their own relatives somewhere else in other state, other place, so each will move to polarize according to wherever their relatives. So the group that the church sponsored has dispersed, and that's how we moved to California so my parents can pastor another church down there.
Okay, and with them being a pastor, what religion was you?
Christian, evangelical Christian, and the Christian and Missionary Alliance is our denomination. Currently, national office in Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Okay, and after graduating from high school, did you go to college or did you start working?
Yeah, I shouldn't go straight to college, but due to some application delay, I worked for 1 year. In 1984, I went to college. I graduated in 83, then had to work for 1 year, waiting for the application and student loan process. and waiting for the TOEFL test. It's a test of English as second language, and because English is not my first language, I have to take that test. So that test only has certain schedule, so you have to wait for the schedule. That's why I was delayed 1 year.
Okay. And which college did you attend?
I went straight to St. Paul Bible College, which is now Crown College, straight to study to be a pastor.
To be a pastor? Okay. I know you did mention to us when we were measuring your house last week that you had ambitions to become an architect. Was that before you came to the U.S., or was that during high school? When was that ambition for architecture?
I always liked drawing, but when we came to this country, we began to see more opportunities and explore the different careers, and that's how I think architect is my passion. I always liked drawing and painting, so I think as a career, architect will be my passion, and I make sure every high school class every year includes the subject.
Okay. And if but you went to college to become a pastor, was that something maybe you did to keep it in the family, or because your father was a pastor, or basically my question is, well, why did you go to college to become a pastor instead of an architect?
In a ministry, in a Christian life, we don't just live and plan for ourselves. We have a spiritual side of life. We have the physical, the mental knowledge, and the emotional, and the spiritual security. And what I was planning is just for my earthly life of physical, mental, career planning. But as time goes, I began to hear God's call for me as to serve Him. So during the senior year, I feel the strong affirmation that God wants me to be a pastor, helping others to know Him and build their spiritual life as well. And I was struggle with whether I should pursue architect or being a pastor. And there's a voice. There is a understanding that an architect will build the house, mansion, building. But in the Bible, Jesus said, "In my Father's house, there are many mansions." And that voice just said, "You don't have to build. I already built it. I want you to call people into my mansion, the kingdom of heaven." And I was convicted that, well, if God wants me to, instead of building, calling people into His building, I'll do that. And I give up my choice career into God's choice of what He wants me to do. And I applied to Bible college and was accepted, and 4 years later graduated from Bible college and went to pastor church right away, and I'm pastor for 28 years now. I graduated from college from Bible college in 1988, and pastor of churches, went down to South America as missionaries, and come back to continue seminary and in church leadership, and still pastor these days.
Right. And do you feel like you made the right choice now, looking back?
Yes.
Okay. And you said you went to South America for
Yes.
your missionary?
4 years.
4 years?
French Guiana.
Which part of South America?
Northeast part, right north of border of Brazil.
The border of Brazil?
French Guiana is a French overseas province, but it's in northern Brazil.
So did you have to learn Portuguese or Spanish?
No, it's a French province, French territory. So the official language will be French and French government system. But because there's a group of Hmong over there already, I don't have to. But it's a privilege to learn to catch up my French. I also learned French too in the refugee camp and back in grade school. So just to catch up on some French and practice. But the major language needs for my ministry there is Hmong. So I was born Hmong, so that's a privilege.
Right. So you speak Hmong, English, French.
Some French and Lao and Thai.
Any other languages?
I hope I can add more. Spanish. Spanish will be my next, or Chinese will be my next, but I guess they'll just wish for now. 5 languages enough. Sometimes got them mixed a lot.
Did so after you finished all of that, when did you move to Milwaukee?
Because the ministry, we were transferred into different ministry, different churches a lot. So we were pastors in Illinois, pastor in Wausau, Wisconsin, and went down to South America and come back in 1999, 98, and pastor churches in St. Paul, and went to work in the district office in Denver, Colorado. I came here 10 years ago in 2006 in Milwaukee.
And you decided to stay here, or was it opening for a pastor?
Again, that's opening for the call. He called me to call people to his mansion, so to his kingdom, so wherever he wants me to. But so far, I still feel that he wants me here.
Okay. So you traveled all over the U.S. pretty much. When and where did you meet your wife?
And in school, well, my parents were classmates too. Her parents and my parents were classmates way back in the 60s when they studied in the Bible Institute. And we were together in the same village too. So my parents always know each other and relate in some way too. But we were just know each other. But after college, we're more serious about the relationship.
Did you migrate together as well?
She came about 6 months before. Yeah, but we were together in the refugee camp, and we were always we went to grade school together in the same school, and we know each other.
Did you go to high school together as well?
No, they came to different. They came to Illinois, and we came to Montana, so different. But when we went to school together and college together.
Okay, so you were both reunited in California.
No, she was in Denver, and she went to St. Paul Bible College is in Minnesota.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so she came to St. Paul Bible College, and I went there a year before, and she came the second year.
And that's when you started developing a relationship?
Still, we are focused on school, but after graduation, and we began ministry. I began pastoral ministry. That's when marriage and family is the secondary to consider. First, we have to focus on study. No time around with girls playing around. So she's focused on her study. Like I said, you only have 3 years of high school English preparation, and now in college, talking about term paper. The word term paper is a new term for me. And doing research without computer these days, without grammar program that will correct your grammar, and only with a typewriter, and doing research paper without internet. You have to dig all the books from the library, 10, 20 books, and read all the books and note and jot down. With 3 years of college, only minimal English. I have to put my priority in study. So after the study, after graduation, now secondary is marriage and family. That's when we look around. Okay, maybe that same God is always with us, and that's how we. And we have to pray that your partner is your ministry. Your partner is lifetime. So God will lead them to each other.
And when you moved here, did you already have some children, like born in other states, or did you have all your children here?
I was married. We were married in 1989. I graduated in '88. She served one more year, so she graduated in '89, and we were married right after that, the summer, and we did not have children for a long time, for 11 years. So our first son was born in 2000, the year 2000. So we were married in 89, 90, 2000. That's 10, 11 years. And he was born in St. Paul. And my other girls were born, 2 girls were born in Denver, Colorado. And the younger ones are born here. The 2 younger sons are born here in Milwaukee.
So you have 5 children?
Yeah, 5 children.
3 boys and 2 girls?
Yes. The first one is 15 now, and the youngest is 2.5. He's just running around.
And when did you purchase this home?
I purchased in that's the 11 o'clock time.
Yeah, it's okay, we'll just wait for it to pass.
There we go. Where are we?
When did you purchase this?
We purchased this building in October 2014. Actually, no, September 2014. To be exact, September 11. When we closed the paperwork, and due to some renovation needed and architectural drawing and approved from the city, it delayed until October, November, when we began to demolish or tear down what we need to. So it takes some time.
All right. How long did it take for the entire remodeling and construction process?
Actually, 1 full year. We moved in October 2015, so 4 year.
So where did you live for the meantime?
We rent a apartment. We used to live in a church parsonage, but in 2014, when we sold the church, which is part of the parsonage, we had to rent an apartment and look for our own house.
Yeah, so this would be the first home that you ever owned?
No, I have homes before. Yeah. But when we have to purchase a home here, we have some choice, but we decide to take this choice.
Why was that? Why did you decide to move into this community?
Maybe not specifically this community, but for the purpose of rebuilding a community somewhere. We have some choice as a pastor of a church over 1,000 members. I can choose to live in a nice neighborhood with expensive house and 3-car garage or upper class lifestyle, but I'm more happy with seeing people change and seeing people upgrade in their lives, and keeping to my call. When God called me to change people's life, and have God change people's life through me, through my work, through my teaching, I see that more of seeing the people change, upgrade into a better lifestyles. And when I was offered this building, partly is low investment, and you don't have to worry much about mortgage, and that's the first part. But the second part is this is where you can make yourself at home. And building your community, be different in the community. You don't want to just be someone where people admired, but you be someone that make the change in people's lives. And this is a place we feel that you can always make a change in people's life anywhere, in the upper level or lower level, but we decide that we want to give back to the community, to the city too. And this area, if I cannot change the community, I will be a recipient in a community changing program.
Okay. Do you feel generally safe in this community as of right now?
I'm okay, not the best, but we can make the best out of any life.
After everything.
Right, after everything, and there's things stolen outside there, but we're glad that people like our things too. We just discovered someone just stole our flower plant. We just planted 2 days ago, and someone pulled it off, and I don't know why, but we discovered, they like it too, so we will buy more. But besides that, that's fine, and I guess for now we okay, and we'll have to learn to be more patient and learn to build new friends and stick to your goal. Your goal is to make a difference in the community. You don't run from it. You face it and make a difference.
And how's your wife? Does she feel the same way about this community?
Yes, we have to discuss and both agree on the same goal.
Okay. Yeah. And what about your children? Do they come home tending to feel discriminated from school, or as you did when you were in high school and middle school and everything, or do they come home and they like the community and everything?
They're okay. They seems to be okay. There's a few times here and there where they feel being bullied, but other than that, they find they adjust well in school. And in the new community, we were here for about 6-7 months now, and they're fine. We feel like home, and we feel safe being outside. And at night it's quiet. And the current neighbors were here for over 10 years, 20 years. They were here ever since 1920, so we are new to them, and we're still trying to get to know more friends and build friends with them.
Okay. And this house was a duplex before, right?
Yeah, it was a duplex,
And
one
you
bedroom on each level.
Okay, and you transformed it into
At four bedroom single family.
And how was that transformation process? Was it stressful for you?
Yeah, very stressful, but if you stick to your goal, it'll be done someday. We bought it with the purpose of bring up a rundown house and develop the community. Otherwise, it will be knocked down. The city wastes a lot of money trying to take care of the property, mow the lawn, trim the trees outdoors, and knowing that vacant properties prone to attract criminals and other unwanted activities. So we decided to occupy it and take care of the house. It meets both sides. It meets our budget purpose, and we don't have to worry much about big mortgage. And in turn, it helps the community develop. And we see now that since we moved in about 6-7 months ago, and since we bought it, when we bought it, and we came daily to work on it, we see that the suspicious activity has decreased, and now I rarely see any more. People used to come and sneak on the back doing things, and they don't know that we're upstairs working, and they're still doing their own usual activity in the back and exchanging drug on the corners and all those. But as they witness more occupied, more people, they'll move somewhere else, and we see that at least the corner is quiet now.
Yeah. And you had lots of family and church members help you with your modeling process, right?
Yes, that's very great help. We bought it with the purpose of do it your own, and we minimize hiring people to do. That would be the best. But for budget wise and for personal experience of wanting to be an architect and builder, I like to explore my my dream once. So we did the architecture drawing, and with my cousin's architectural license and building construction license as a partner, he really helped me redesign, and I would design some and have him officially redraw and approve, and then we take it to the city, and we built with his knowledge, skills. So with a lot of personal investment, but some other heavier things that will require more people to handle, I would ask the church people to help.
Okay. And are you happy with the final product here?
Yeah, it's I think better than what I thought it would be. At first we thought we were quick fix, get it done, but then as time goes, you think, well, once you put your energy to it, you want to do it the best you can. So that's why we thought it was gonna be 2-3 months, ends up to be over a year and still not complete yet. Because once you put on, you discover there are other things that needs to be done, and you want to get it done because you know that it needs to be done. So it takes time.
Right. Is there any more construction that's going to be done?
Yes, the roof, and we just done the siding yesterday, and windows. Even though we replaced the windows, the trim and the fittings they'll need touch up and some repair.
Okay. There was a few items when we were measuring your house that we just had questions about. For example, you have a fish, like a bass fish mailbox.
Oh, mailbox.
Where is that from, and why is it? Why do you? Have
It's
it?
very odd, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely sticks
Usually
out.
you will see that on upper level of residence, but we got that as a pastor appreciation from the church. And yes, mailbox can be anywhere, so we wanted to be odd by having a fish, bass fish mailbox. The mailman in this area don't know how to operate those mailbox. They're used to drop mail into the mail slot, and with that mailbox, when you have outgoing mail, you raise up the flag, and knowing that there is outgoing mail in there, they have to get the outgoing mail. Even though they don't have incoming mail, you have to get that outgoing mail and then flip down the flag. The first few weeks, our mailman never took out the mail. We had to chase him down, but I've discovered that he didn't know because it's new to him.
So now he does.
Yeah, I have to tell him that when the flag's up, that when we have outgoing mail, you have to take it out. And when you take out, you put down the flags.
Right.
So that's a new thing. So that's how the fish, and we really appreciate that the church members appreciate us as pastors. So I guess they want us to have more time for our family and go out fishing. That's their signal.
And then another item was we noticed that you have lots of paintings on the walls. Are those paintings that you've done, or just paintings that you admire, or?
There are some paintings that I did. I haven't put out, but these are just painting that has meaning to me. The big one behind us is the one we used to have at our office, church office, conference room, which says the river of life and the living water. And Jesus invited us to take the living water from Him, and it's a daily refresh that we live for the purpose of Christ, and we live with hope and prayer that God will give us the opportunity to share that living water with someone else. And that's why it's in the living room, it's in the kitchen, and the other one in the living room with the ducks. Ducks has a first impression on me when I began my ministry 28 years ago. I read about ducks are very committed as a flock. They fly south in the winter, they came back in the summer. And when they fly in a V shape. That V shape serves better in an aerodynamic. When they travel, there's less wind draft, less resistance. But there's more to that. Is in the V shape, the one in the middle at the V, take the most the one in the middle take the most impact. He beats most of the wind, and as time go, he would shift to the back, and the next person shift up. And when the first one get tired, he will drop and then come to the back, and the next one shift up. That's how they maintain their travel for a long time without stopping for rest. And what's more amazing is, if one get tired or get sick or get shot down, the two next to it come and go down with him and make sure he's okay. They both, or the three of them, will come up and join other group. But if they will be there until if that one is totally incapable, then the two will come up and join the rest that are flying south. That's a commitment. More like the soldiers' slogan, never let your friend behind. And that's ministry where I feel like if I can't do anything, I'll be with someone who needs something. And just be there, be there for them. That's a commitment. Right. And the picture of the ducks will remind me to always be there. And the one in front of us, just more of a ordinary flower, not much of any meaning, just besides the beautiful flower pot. We may change that later when we have more of our picture.
Right. So some of these paintings have inspirational meanings to them, and some other ones.
Yeah, that one at the left there, we just put up. We still have tons of pictures to bring up. That one we see more like a pencil sketch of the picture of Jesus, but actually it's a fine print of the Sermon on the Mount, Matthew chapter 5 all the way to chapter 8 in fine print, with bold letter or fine letter. And when you see it further away, it looks like a picture, but when you with a magnified glass, that's a Bible passage from Matthew chapter 5, chapter 7, chapter 8, which is called the Sermon on the Mount, when Jesus preached with all kinds of topics.
And you said you did have some paintings that you have drawn yourself?
Yeah.
And those aren't up right now?
No, I haven't been able to put them up yet.
We do have some follow-up questions.
Yes, I have several questions. First thing is, did you have any connection with a neighborhood near this house, except among family?
Besides among family?
Yes, near this community.
Yes, so far we know the neighbor right across the street. We help cut down their trees, and they're also pastors. And we know the neighbor behind us there, they were here since 1980, and we get to know them too.
They are all African Americans, or?
Yes, they're African American, and we start getting to know closer with the neighbor across the street. Down there's a Caucasian American. He's single. He's alone. His wife is in the nursing home, so he is alone in the house now. And he sees that we do little garden in the back. He offers his backyard as a garden that we can go and plow it up and do a garden there at his backyard anytime.
And when you start to remodel this house, is there any specific place that you design, or if there is some part reflected in your own views, opinions?
Yes, the staircase. There are a few other things, but the bathroom and the staircase are the major redesign to my taste, to what I like. I like to see.
So in bathroom, you'd like to have a more large bathroom?
Yeah, larger bathroom with kids. In the upper were 3-bedroom, knowing that the family will use it more, so we want bigger bathroom, so kids and family more convenient. And downstairs with more guests coming next to the kitchen, knowing that with more guests, and we want to host more guests, then we want to have an open, bigger, larger bathrooms too. So we modified the bathroom larger than it was.
Can you tell me the reason that why you changed the staircase?
One of the reasons is the original staircases doesn't meet the current safety code. It was too steep, and plus it's for the purpose of a 2-family. It goes up to the upper unit. So once we convert into single unit, we don't need that steep, narrow in the corner stair. And the stair that goes up and down every day has to be some staircase that you enjoy going up and down, or easier access going up and down. And if you're gonna turn it into a single family, it will open up. And when it opens up, it has to be some that looks nice too, and convenient. And you don't want your kids to tumble down from the stair too, so it has to be safe and look nice. So that's the one that is most difficult and takes more precise building.
Is it also related to using habit without shoes inside of space?
Or shoes? I guess that's not a thing to decide, but usually shoes, it's there's snow, there's rain, so we'll just put shoes inside. It's easier. That's the only. Is that what your question is?
So it's just you have people take off their shoes at the door. It's more for just keeping the house clean. It's not so much as a tradition.
No, it's just basically just for cleanliness. Just keep your shoes there, and then so you don't carry dirt and sands in all over the house. That's all.
Can you describe a specific touchiness? Take off the shoes and you feel bottom of your foot. You can feel some touchiness of this space. For example, the kitchen area covered with tiles,
Mm-hmm.
and at the winters it's a little bit cold, so you put some carpet there.
Right.
That kind of things. Can you tell me about your feeling, touchiness, that kind of things? Can you?
Yes. This part of the country has summer and winter. If you build to fit the winter, in the summer it will be damp and moisture, the carpet, and I'm allergic to dust, so I minimize. That's why we don't see a lot of carpet. So I minimize carpet. But with hardwood floor and tile, it will be cold in the summer. Cold in the winter. So we have to compromise in some way. I want the bathtub to be sturdy, metal sturdy, but then the bathtub is cold in the winter. You don't want to step on the bathtub with cold feet. So I put insulation inside underneath the bathtub pack with full insulation, so that it won't be too cold. And with a lot of kids, we choose tile bathroom, tile floor, so it's easier to clean, and you don't have to worry much about carpet in there. And but for the kitchen, we put some carpet lining on whatever you call the rolls there, partly for because kitchen has a lot of water, and in tile when it gets wet it has a tendency to be slippery, so it helps. And also in the winter it's not too cold for your wife or whoever works in the kitchen too. and that's the only reason.
And I'm wondering, when I see the previous drawings, there is a wall between kitchen and the dining room, and now there is no barrier between two space. And is there any specific feelings, reason, the kind of things? Can you explain about it?
There's two reasons for that. First, we want it to be more like a modern, open concept. And second, it will serve the guests better that way. Because when you cook, when you do your dish, or you cook your guests at the table, you want to be able to communicate, and everyone in the same room. But with the original design was a European design where there's door in every room. Kitchen has its own door and lock or close, and dining room has its own door, living room has its own door and close. But we want it to be a new, modern, open concept where the living room through dining room all the way to the kitchen is all open. So it's easier to host guests. And we modified this building. One is to have enough room for the kids, enough bedrooms. And second, to accommodate comfortably any guest that we can. And we, my wife is loves to cook. Her hobby is cooking, and we love having people over. So every week we will invite at least one or two family over for dinner, and we want to modify the kitchen to meet that goal of hosting. So open the kitchen wall into a open concept will serve. And sometimes the guests, the wives, will help my wife do the dish, and they will chat and exchange story at the same time while I'm talking with the rest of the family in the dining room table, and yet we can still exchange story back and forth, so keeps everyone together in the same context.
And the other my question is, how about the color schemes? Each room have a different colors. It is blue, and this is more brown.
More brown and white here.
This color scheme provide you some specific atmospheres or some sense?
Just the preference of color. We just like the color. That's all. And instead of one color, when you go into different room, it help prepare your emotion, your mind to fit the environment. So just change color.
That part is really interesting for me because you try to open the whole space from living room to kitchen, but you try to make some specific a sense of that place, dining room and the kitchen.
Right. It's a concept of being one, and yet we must accept the difference. It's all dining room, living room, kitchen. It's all one big room, but each room has its own specific difference. Colors, or even the picture in each room has different theme, and yet it's all in the same room, same big room. And it's a lesson to us in life that we want to communicate. We are one. We are one nation under God. We are people. Doesn't matter, but however, we must respect each culture, each colors as their unique themselves, and yet overall we are one. We're people, same. Right.
When you say about the habit to use inside of space without shoes, it is related to your not refugee camp, but your previous traditional house style. Is there any connection with your previous traditional house style, or?
Actually, it's different. In traditional village back in Laos, there's only one room, and people rarely have shoes. So you go to the farm barefoot, come home, whatever it is, and you don't take shower every night before good bedtime, so you just rub your feet, kind of knock it dust off, and go to bed. So actually there's no shoes in and out from the house. And if there are some who has shoes, there's no, specifically for the Hmong culture, for us, there's no need to take off the shoes at the door because the house is a dirt floor too. So it's okay for the shoes to go. In fact, we don't want the guests to take off the shoes, or otherwise their feet or their socks will be dirty. So we will insist that don't take off your shoes. And some guests will be respective to take off their shoes, but we will insist that they don't, because we don't want their feet to get dirty. So back then, we don't worry about taking your shoes off. It depends on some living standard. Some people who has better housing, they would have notes on the door, shoes off please. But in general, among my background, shoes is not a concern. So it's opposite over here. We just take off, not because of any cultural traditions, but just for the cleanliness. Take the shoes out there to avoid bringing more dirt inside the house.
I have one awkward question, but you have experience to use your traditional house without shoes inside or outside, and you feel everything through your food.
Mm-hmm.
And now when you use inside of space, you also feel some feeling through the food, or is there any relations or any specific memory about using?
Oh, okay. There's no religion or any cultural ties to that. It's just for purpose of cleanliness, and we just put the shoes out there. And sometimes we wear socks, so it's easier to go in and out, slip in the shoes without time to go. And sometimes in the winter it's cold, bare feet, so we put socks on, and that's all it is. So it has no meaning beyond that. Yeah.
We noticed that you use the front door for guests, but you generally use the back door for the immediate family in the house. Is that generally the daily routine, or is it just depends on where the vehicle is at the time?
Yeah, for us, it doesn't matter. It depends. Wherever easier to go to the car. We have a car in the backyard, so it's easier to go through the back door. That's what last time when we came, we parked the car, came in, so our shoes is out and back. So this time we go back there, but now we have the car in the front door, so we just go in the front door. It doesn't matter.
So guests also would come through the front
Yeah, and
door?
guests come anywhere, anytime when they ring the front, we can't hear they ring the back, or sometimes they may park on the back too. They come to the back door. It's not a tradition.
So sometimes guests use back doors instead of front door. They park their cars backyard, and sometimes they use a back door.
Yeah, sometimes they would use the back door too.
And how about the window? You at the nighttime and daytime, now it is open, but how about the nighttime? You block the window? Or?
Yeah, nighttime sometimes we pull down the shade, the blinds, close it. But again, it doesn't have any cultural meaning, just for safety, that it's nighttime, and it's just tradition that at night people close the window and close the blinds.
There's safety and comfort.
Yeah, safety and comfort. Yeah. But the first thing we do in the morning is open the blinds, and I like to have an open, bright, open, see outside. And I don't mind this people outside see me in here. I have nothing to hide.
When I measure this house, this guest room is a little bit narrow, and your wife says to me that when you remodeled this house, extends some space of guest room, but it is still a little bit narrow. And when you saw first time this room, how do you feel? Is it too narrow to use as a bedroom, or?
Yes, the upper unit and the lower unit has the same design, where each unit has only one bedroom, and the bedroom is very small, 7 feet by 10 feet. So 7 feet is very small. It can hardly fit a bed in there. And I still wonder how those people back then have a small bedroom. So that's why we moved the wall 1 foot over, so that it become a little bit larger, and yet it's still small. But if we move it too far, then we'll have a smaller dining area. So we compromise, expand the bedroom a little bit, but maximize the dining room.
Who usually use that space?
It's a guest room, so it should be open. But currently we have a summer intern that is helping us over the summer. So because we have room, we host the summer interns.
And where is your best place in this house? Which place is your best location in this house?
We just here for about 6-7 months, and we haven't discovered the favorite place. But for me, it's exactly this place. For now, the dining room.
This dining
Yeah,
room.
this room where we are here right now. The living room is more for entertainment, for movie, or family will sit together around. But we always together, so we can be together anywhere. And my family is together more in the car. We do a lot of road trips, so living room is family room, but still not as special as the dining room, because dining room serve more. We have family dinner, and we have guests, and of course important discussion like now we do in the dining room. I don't know why you choose dining room, but instead of living room. But again, it seems to build the comfort here for me now. That dining room is the best place for me in this house now.
Okay. The other question is, is there any specific smells in this house? Do you have any first memory of smells in this house?
Yes, mold. Summer. It's basement is not fully done yet, so we still have some moldy smell from the basement. But if we open the window and turn on the dehumidifier, it helps too. But before, it's very bad.
And that's something that you will be constructing when you can, right? You are going to remodel the basement as well.
Yeah, and that's the next project after the roof.
Is there one thing that I surprised visit here first time is inside of space is really modernized and really clean and new. Of course, it's new built house, but outside I can't feel anything about that. And is there any specific reason?
First is to be able to live in. So we focus on what is necessary first. Inside, we redraw the architectural drawing and we modify. So we have to focus and get the inside ready, and then livable, and then we'll focus on the outside. The outside still okay. It looks old, and it's a 100-year-old. So even the siding and the trims looks old, but still okay. And then we focus on those needed area inside first.
Do you have any plan to improve outside the repainting or changing the siding? Do you have any plan?
Yes, that's the immediate plan for today. After this is we plan to paint the windows, window trims, and the outside wall that needs to be painted.
Okay, and in this area, when I see the other house, there many house adopt a chain link fence in their front yard, and this building don't have that kind of a fence. Even this building located in corner side. So how do you feel about chain link fence like in front of
The
your
neighbor
house?
has a fence around. I guess fence serve two purpose. Keep it safe and telling people don't come across. So I have a mixed feeling. I want it safe. I want my children to stay in a safe area. They don't wander off but at the same time, I want an open concept, open mind where I'm not afraid of you. I want you to be friend. What's mine, you can treat as yours. And what I enjoy, I want you to be able to enjoy it too. And I like the open where if you have to cut across because you're in a hurry or something, go ahead and run across my backyard to the other side. It's easier that way. But if you're going to abuse and damage things, then I would not like it. But I'm open, so I don't like fence just for the sake of fence. I like it open.
It is also related to your gardening habit. You said in front of front yards there is some gardening, some
Little
flowers
flower. Yeah, we tried to decorate the front a little bit with some flowers, even though it got stolen a few times. The second time, someone just pulled the flower, and I guess they like it. It's not vandalized or just pull and kill it, but the pull and it's not there, so someone like it. But we replant it to so that we like to keep the front beautiful.
You did it, or your wife usually do a gardening?
She likes to do garden, and we just dig a little bit, and I help her dig and plow a little bit, till the soil so she can plant the flowers in.
Okay. My final question is, do you have any memory of sound in this house?
Sound?
Yes, any sound.
Soundproof or something? Or inside the house?
When you're experiencing this house, is there any specific sounds that resonate with you?
Nothing besides the squirrel scratching and fighting upstairs. It's fine, we're here, it's fine.
And so, like, is there times where people are driving by with their loud music and motorcycles or anything?
Neighborhood sound, yes, there are sometimes, not a lot, but sometimes there will be a car driving by with loud mufflers and music, but not much. Once in a while we'll hear that.
Does that bother you? Does that make you feel a certain way about the community?
Not in a way of bothering, but we know there are still some that likes those kind of lifestyle. So we just have to be aware and understand that people like different things.
Okay. And I believe our final question is, if you were to leave this community, what do you think would happen to it?
Oh, I don't know. With that, that's what I hope to live with positive. If I have to leave the building or leave this community, I hope that someone else that would have the same mind to not only to own and live the house, but a mind to cooperate and work with the neighborhood community to keep up the community safety.
And if someone did not move in who has that same mindset, do you feel that this community would not be able to reestablish itself?
I don't know what will be, but from what I know, the city is working hard to keep up and to improve the community.
Can I ask one more thing?
Okay.
This house have a lot of paintings. You already mentioned, but there is some pictures there. I think that is your home country. And what does it mean, the landscape?
Yeah,
pictures?
the picture will be somewhere else, but doesn't have a tie to this room. But when we are moving around, we just throw it up there. But it's a picture given to me by a friend who was a military official, and that is the heart of the CIA military camp. And that's why it was not known, because it's a secret military base for the Vietnam War. And that's where a lot of the Hmong secret soldier who works. That's the only military base for the Hmong Vietnam War
So that was
veterans.
it's a Hmong military base or a U.S. military base?
U.S. but operate by the Hmong military. Those are warplanes and no civilian planes can go to this one. It's secret. No one should know. But now we know, and that's one of the largest operation in Laos.
And that pictures are all your family
Yeah,
members?
my kids, picture of my kids and my families, and we saved one thing from this building. The door, one of the door in the back, we purposely save it to keep it original as our memories that someone else make the best effort to keep this house over 100 years. And so we keep the door.
And that's the door that's
The
leading
back door.
downstairs,
Yeah,
correct?
no, leading out.
Oh, the back
Out to the
porch?
back. And that picture in the here is one that I saved. Yeah. When we were knocking things out of this house and throwing in the dumpster, this fell off, and I keep it. It's about honor mother. And let me read it. It says, Mother holds our hands for a while, but our hearts always. Because when we're young, they may hold our hands, but as we grow old, they hold our hearts forever. Mother, colon, is another name for love. It's a synonym for love. A mother listens with her heart. They don't listen with their ears, but they listen with their heart. Close to my heart, you will always be, always my mother who is there for me. So it's a beautiful poem recognizing someone's passionate heart, not particularly only for mother, but anyone that listens with their heart. Whole people's, not only their hands, but their hearts too. So it's special poem, special picture, and I save it. So there was the two.
Did you save it because it meant something to you, or just because it was something that was left at this house?
Pardon, both, yeah. Something that left at this house that, wow, whoever. Well, when you look at this house is a rundown. It's a sign of some so-called, what do you call? I don't want to say the criminal, but someone who don't care about houses. Someone who neighbor may not like them around. But look at what they have in their house. At least they have a respect for mother. At least they sense mother's love. And whoever's here, the neighbor may not like them due to the activity they have and due to the fact that they left in this house. Other thing in this house, we kind of know who they are, but at least they have an honor for mother, and at least they have a concern for people's heart rather than just physical. They're feeling their heart, and that teach me something. So I like to remember the previous owner in a positive note that they left something good behind.
All right, that's great. Is there any information that you've given us throughout this interview that you don't want disclosed for any reason?
No, not at this time.
Okay. And well, we would both like to thank you for taking the time to do this interview with us. And that is it.
Thank you for your patience and listening to the stories. And at first I thought it was just gonna be pertaining to the house, but we went back as far as refugee, so I'm more than happy to share my life. Who comes from refugee camps into this country, and the opportunity for me to thrive in this country. And thank you for listening.
No problem.